Oh, so I built the Celebrity Doppelgänger Finder, and my match was Shilpa Shetty. Okay, I'll show you how it works and you'll see. So if I default to my own picture, we can see that this is my doppelganger. And if we try yours, then apparently your doppelganger is this guy? Pretty neat, huh? Pretty cool, but how'd you make it? So it all started yesterday. First thing in the morning, I started planning the tasks for this project on Notion. I wanted to keep it pretty simple, so the main items involve picking an API, since I know I can't do this from scratch, finding and cleaning the data, and making a pretty UI. But first, breakfast. I usually start each day with either a bagel with cream cheese and jam or oatmeal. And of course, if I want to function for the rest of the day, I need my fresh cup of coffee with a splash of almond milk. Back at my desk, I gobbled up my breakfast while watching some YouTube. Now that I'm well nourished, I started exploring some options for APIs. With my limited ML knowledge, I know of a few places where I can start. First, there's TensorFlow. Of course, this will be the most powerful option in terms of the algorithm if I get it right, but once I saw all the math required to train this model, I realized it fell out of my expertise. There's also an API called Clarif AI that I've used in the past that has a pre-trained celebrity model. This sounds great, but I realized that this wouldn't work on my own face, so probably wasn't made for me. AWS and Microsoft also have their own face recognition APIs. The main problem with these is that it only matches you to a single image of a celebrity, which would make my app both very slow and not as powerful as a model trained with a set of images. Alas, I found the face recognition API on GitHub. This was pretty intuitive and easy to use and had an example of pretty much exactly what I wanted, training a classifier with a set of images using a simple SVM model on SciKitLearn. So this is what I went with. I'm sure Yogi gets pretty bored during my work days, so we took a break by playing tug of war until he stole a toy for himself. Anyways, now the next step was to find data to match these specs. There are a lot of great datasets out there, but the problem was that they separated metadata, including the name of each actor in each image, in separate files, which would be really annoying for me to parse through. But I did find this one dataset on Kaggle that had perhaps a more limited set of celebrities, but had the data pre-sorted into folders by their names. I also found a similar thing for Indian actors, so it was all set. With that, I had a somewhat diverse set of data to start my project. But first, I was inspired by Yogi's taco toy and decided to have some lunch. Because I meal prep on the weekends, this was really easy to assemble. I usually microwave some of the ingredients, and because this week I prepped for tacos, I just had to pile everything onto a tortilla. So we have some chicken, potatoes, beans, onions, jalapenos, and lots of cilantro. And it was super yum. After a satisfying lunch, I was ready to get back to work by cleaning the data. To make things as simple as possible, we want the data to match this structure where we have a bunch of people's images separated into folders by the actors' names. For the Indian database, we already have these folders with each actor's names, but we have a second layer of nesting with the film names that lead to the images, so we just want to collapse that layer. For the pins dataset, everything is good, we just want to take off the pins prefix from each folder name. And through the magic of bash scripts and Stack Overflow, I made 2 scripts to do just that. To burn out some of the frustration caused by bash and to get a healthy dose of vitamin D, Yogi and I headed out for a walk. This day was particularly pleasant, so we ran a few sprints back and forth to replace my daily run. After about 20 minutes outside, we are pretty tired and ready to head back home. Finally, it's time to run some code. At this point, this code is very similar to what I found on GitHub. We're going through every actor's image and encoding them using the face recognition API. We then save all the encodings to a list and feed them into the SVM, which stands for Support Vector Machine on SciKitLearn, which will train a classifier model using these images. We are then feeding in our own image to the classifier and trying to find the closest match, which is the result. This initially took 30 minutes to run, so I ended up saving the classifier as a file that can be loaded in subsequent runs. And when we test this, we can see that my match is still Shilpa Shetty. The remaining work really is just making this more pretty, maybe by adding some more visuals. I was able to make a half pretty output by loading the image of the celebrity using the Google Custom Search API. I then combined that image with my own and some text using the Python imaging library. And after fiddling a little bit more with the design, it's time to admire the results. As you've seen before, this is the result with my supposed doppelganger, Shilpa Shetty. And as a sanity check, I also wanted to test people who are in the training set. And as we can see, this works for Trisha, a South Indian actress, and Mark Zuckerberg. I also tested this with some stock photos, and at least in my opinion, they seem to be a pretty good match. This can also match multiple faces in a single image. I didn't have the time to make this look more pretty, but you can see the celebrity names in Terminal and the original picture to compare. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This code is linked down below in GitHub, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in a comment below. And I'll talk to you guys next time.